Merry Christmas.
If you've not heard of Dillie Keane, then these stats will help you realise how loved and respected she is. 23 million YouTube hits to date and rising. 12 million hits for Cheap Flights. Check out that song. 36 years since the formation of the group, nearly 37. Worked in 11 countries. She had 8 CDs, 5 languages into which their songs have been translated, on 5 continents, 4 DVDs, 3 videos, which apparently are lost. The New York Times called Dillie a natural clown and goes on to review her New York show as Miss Keane scrunches her face into cartoonish expressions. My favourite being a lethal smile while singing Pam, her takedown of a character who delights in seducing other women's husbands. Most of the time, Miss Keane maintained a common-sense tone of voice, but every now and then she roared. Dillie has also performed in The Vagina Monologues, Grumpy Old Women, and we get to talk about these shows over the next 50 minutes. The Musical Theatre Review gave Dillie 5 stars at the Richmond Theatre. Life's not fair, is it? And it's almost a sin that someone with so many talent exists. But for the wonderful Dillie Keane, wore her genius lightly in 2 hours of pure bliss at Richmond at the end of a tour promoting her Hello Dillie DVD and at the same time enhancing all our lives. Of all the many cabaret artists I've heard around the world, Keane comes closest to perfection in an act oozing with polished, truly great songwriting and exceptional storytelling skills, particularly those involving toothless, 80 fags a day clairvoyants or Hungarian readers of tarot cards in Canberra. You will see a lot of Dillie's work on YouTube. Check out the songs, Internet Love, Wouldn't It Be Nice to Be a Lesbian, and This Ain't the Hokey Cokey Anymore. Shattered Illusions is one of her fans' favourites. And I'll ask you to check out Doggin. Not literally, just the song that Dillie Keane puts out there. Dillie and I talk about Joe Allen's. We talk about the South Sea Kings Theatre. Talks about her favourite Beatle. We talk about social media, Gilbert and Sullivan, Randy Newman, the Royal Variety Performance, and we talk about why Dillie Keane and Fascinating Ada have not had that much airtime on TV. We talk about Phil Cool, Jimmy Cricket, touring with grumpy old women, and saving the planet. Eyes and teeth. Please welcome Dillie Keane.
Great pleasure.
I want to say Hello Dillie, which is the name of your DVD, which I've just watched and enjoyed very much. When you write names for your tours, as a ventriloquist, I had one called Thinking Inside the Box, and then I had 30 Years of Talking to Myself. You use your names in titles such as Hello Dillie or Citizen Keane, and some of your songs as well was titled Single Again and Back With You. When naming your tours, how do you come up with that? Is it as an easy process?
Desperation, really. It's just sometimes things spring out at you. Yes. Single Again was a very good title because I'd been with Fascinating Ada for 6 solid years.
Okay.
Because there was a song called Single Again, it seemed very appropriate.
Perfect.
And then after that, I wrote the song Back With You. So it seemed obvious that I would write a show called Back With You, and because I'm back with the audience.
Okay, that's nice.
And then Citizen Keane I thought it was the most brilliant title in the world, but it was actually not a hugely successful show. I mean, I sold well, but it was one that various television people expressed interest, and then sort of got bored and looked at something else.
They tend to do that, don't they? It's a shame.
But then you see, the thing is, I long ago accepted my kind of songs don't really work for television executives because they don't really understand them.
Yes.
They don't know how to film them. They've always got the piano on my hands when Adele's got the joke, or give them a shooting script and they'd be very offended, and they'd ignore it because they know better. But actually, this is the joke here. Or just because somebody's singing, it doesn't mean to say that somebody else doesn't have the visual joke at that moment.
Yeah, that's
so you
true.
have to have all 3 of us in shot,
Yes.
And it is pretty frustrating. It frustrates me no more because I've happily given up on it.
Yeah, I don't blame you. It's pulling at your hair, isn't it? It's just trying to impress people where you can do that without trying now, you know. But I could see your show. I can see you doing an audience with. Do you remember those shows that they had with these great people? I mean, you'd be the perfect candidate for an audience with show on television, and it's
Would I?
yes. I'm certainly it's a petition we can start. Everyone's doing petitions these days, but I think they need to be
petitions,
more positive.
Where is Dillie Keane's neighbourhood? That sort of thing.
Yes, well, it won't be long.
I couldn't accept, though, from a Tory government.
Don't blame me. I first encountered you when I worked with you in a corporate hotel. It was a charity night, I believe, in Glasgow. And it was a wonderful evening. You had the people in the palm of your hand. Yeah, it was wonderful. I just remember you lying down on the piano. I thought, where's this going? And I'd heard about Dillie Keane. I'd heard about Fascinating Ada, but I'd never seen you work. But I knew how good you were because I've heard through the business. And so I watched you and I was crying. People were crying with laughter. It's just so nice to see something fresh and, you know, for myself.
Thank you.
Yeah, it was wonderful. But another connection, not just that show, which I thoroughly enjoyed, but this summer I was asked to appear in a cabaret online for Joe Allen's. And I know you've got a love for that restaurant and music venue.
I do.
Yes. It's a great place, isn't it?
It is. Although somehow it isn't quite the same since it moved premises.
Oh, was it moved?
Yeah. Robert De Niro got the lease.
Right.
Got hold of the building, and he got hold of the building, and he basically wanted to open his own restaurant. I don't know whatever happened to the premises, but anyway, Joe Allen's was summarily told that their lease was ending, and they had to find new premises. Yeah. So they did, and it's nearly the same, but somehow it was wonderful. And then when what's his name, the lovely old pianist died,
yes,
and they turned his microphone down and things like that, and they started getting kind of antsy and things. So it was a very great favourite for a long time, and then it was superseded by the Caprices.
Right.
And so I've had a friend of mine said, I cannot get over your sad about the Caprice during, I said, those are the things that make life wonderful. The Caprice closed down during lockdown.
That's so sad, isn't it?
It is, but because it was elegant and charming and brilliantly run, and staff are lovely, and you know, it's just, I think there's things like that make life very enjoyable. But you know, I only went a few times. I remember taking Mum and Dad there, and they thought I really had arrived if I was going to restaurants like that.
I think it changes the ambience of a venue, doesn't it? Like the Cavern where the Beatles played. It wasn't the Cavern really when they changed it, because they knocked all that down. So
yes,
do you think
right.
it loses that magic because you know that this never happened there, you know? And
it's not going to happen again.
No, it's very, very, very sad. But no, your parents were from Ireland, both of them?
They were both, yeah.
But how did you end up in Southsea? Which is...
my father was a GP.
Okay.
Qualified as a GP, and it was in before the National Health Service, before the war, in fact. And so a GP had to buy a practice.
Yes. And
there were 3 practices available in England, and one of them was in Portsmouth.
The home of the wonderful King's Theatre. Did you ever play the King's Theatre?
I spent my from about 9. As soon as I was allowed to walk out of the house by myself,
straight to the theatre.
Normally it was, would run around and get some cigarettes for me. I would make a sort of detour to the King's Theatre to see if I could see anybody interesting coming out of the stage door. I was completely theatre struck.
As was I.
All my life.
Yes.
It was the best thing ever, and I still am.
And isn't it a beautiful theatre? I've worked the South Sea King's
theatre,
2 or 3 times.
Of it.
Oh, really? I was at the 100 years celebration, but Kate O'Mara was on the show.
I was there.
I'm deeply embarrassed, but wasn't that a wonderful night?
Well, I would have been eclipsed by Kate O'Mara. Go on.
She introduced me onto stage, so she was hosting, really.
Yes.
But no, as I was backstage...
With me, Steve.
Excuse me?
I'm going to make you pay for this.
I didn't get to watch the show because I was backstage, so I'm so sorry, and I didn't know of you back then, sadly. And
Steve, what you haven't spotted is that I don't remember that you were there either.
Well, there you go. I feel better already.
Exactly. My job is to make you feel better.
Oh, bless you. I'm going to make up for it now, I promise. It's not just that DVD. I'm going to order the CDs and everything now, and the books.
The books are shit. Don't worry.
Eyes and Teeth. In 1967, you recorded at Abbey Road Studios, playing with your school choir, playing the guitar. Did you know the importance of the studios at that time?
You bet. I was a geeky kid, and I was also a music fan, and I was a Beatles fan. I had 1,364 pictures of the Beatles on my walls.
You had big walls.
Well, no, a lot of them were tiny.
Okay, yes.
Just sort of, everywhere there was a space, but I was a George girl. I loved George. Yes. And I still, I kind of occasionally look at George videos of him being interviewed on YouTube, and I get a little pang. It's quite extraordinary. I still love George. I'd have walked on water for him.
Yeah, well, he's the quiet one, wasn't he?
Teenage adoration.
Yeah.
I had it in spades. But what good taste I had. I mean, other people went for, Paul or John.
Paul Ringo.
They were wrong. They were just wrong. They're not nearly as nice. George was known as the nicest man in rock and roll.
Yeah.
Sometimes the only nice man in rock and roll. There you are. So
he was the quiet Beatle, wasn't he?
The significance, and also it was incredibly exciting because we came across this thing. It was on a wall, and you put a pie into it, and it heated up in a minute.
Really?
It was a microwave. But I mean, a microwave when I was 16 nobody had ever heard of it, and it was just the last word in glamorous.
Yes, a nice hot pie within a minute.
Well, a pie that heated up in a minute or two, something.
Really?
That's not possible. And we all took the pies. We got the pies out of the machine. It was possible.
Wow.
It was extraordinary.
Times change. But you had an acting course, didn't you? And this shows in all of the performances of your songs. Because you act out every song with total emotion, with whatever the subject is. Was there a comedy course when you were acting as well? Or did this evolve through your own love of comedy?
People told me I had funny bones. I went to university first. And everyone said, you've got a career in comedy. Because I was a class clown, and I would sort of go on horribly and play the giddy goat. And yes, I always knew I had a talent for comedy, but I sort of actually, like a lot of people who do comedy, I find it quite easy to switch instantly to sorrow. Right. Yes, I've noticed that. The songs are all plays, and so you have to act them. You have to be in them. Yeah, they seem to be biographical as well. Are a lot of them, or some of them, or none of them biographical? It's just for humour purposes. Tons of biography. Yeah, they are. Yeah. Oh, sorry, that's my dog. She's a terrier, and she does bark very, very noisily. That's fine. We don't mind backing vocals. That's good. Yeah, she's auditioned so many times for fascinating Ada males. I hope you don't mind me saying, but your act is a kind of Pam Ayres on speed to it. It's clever poetry in song with a string of expletives. It must be a wonderful feeling to finish a song, get the applause and the laughter at the same time. Is that your goal? Unless obviously it's a ballad. It is the goal, but it's also the goal to sort of to surprise people and to perhaps do something unexpected. We've got a new song, we've got a live album that's just been mastered from the last show, and it's about social media. Oh, and brilliant! It ends up. It starts really quite funny. Picture of me, glass of champagne. So I can't remember. It's not my verse. Anyway. It's you can imagine this person going, look at my pictures, look at my Facebook, or look at my gram feed, etc. Blah blah blah, and it ends up quite sort of shockingly with the bullying scene. Right. Wow. So the song completely turns on its axis and becomes, it's a good comment, I think. It's important, isn't it, to actually mention, not that this has taken over our lives as social media, but it can be a very negative thing out there for people as well. Absolutely, yeah. Judiciously used, it's absolutely fantastic. Yes. But injudiciously used, it's no good. It's not good.
No, I'm looking forward to hearing the new song. I was wondering about your inspirations, and I saw a lovely interview that you did answering fans' questions on the back end of your DVD, and I was expecting to hear something like inspiration-wise Tessie O'Shea or Victoria Wood, but you've got piano giants like Fats Waller and Randy Newman. So it purely is for the piano.
I don't think Victoria Wood was a great songwriter. She was a fantastic sketch writer.
Yes.
She wrote one really, really great song. Let's Do It. That's hilarious and deserves to be in the top 10 of all comic songs of all time. But her structure wasn't great. She sang too high. She was a wonderful sketch writer.
Yes.
And a fantastic comic. And her songs, they were fine, but they were not of the quality of her sketch writing.
Sure. Tessie O'Shea, like the comedy songstress, but from the music hall, obviously. Just did you know about sort of people like Tessie O'Shea?
Yes, I do know. I didn't find her inspirational. Mae West, perhaps.
Okay.
As a figure, I studied people like Rossini. Rossini could write a comic tune that went with a lyric, just genius. And Sullivan, of course. Sullivan and Gilbert Sullivan, masters of writing. And it's comedy we don't really understand much these days because we don't have the references.
Yes, of course.
They would have pierced themselves in late Victorian theatres. They would have absolutely pierced themselves because the jokes apparently were very good. And Gilbert was not above Forster writing a rather painful lyric. There's a fantastic song in The Yeoman of the Guard called They Don't Blame You So Long As You're Funny. And it's about the life of a comic. It's the best song about comedy ever. It's called They Don't Blame You So Long As You're Funny. And your wife ran away with a soldier that day and took with her your trifle of money. Bless their hearts, they don't mind. They're exceedingly kind. They don't blame you so long as you're funny.
That's amazing.
The only other song that for me comes up to that is about the patronising people who pay for comedy is Simon Smith and his Amazing Dancing Bear.
Right.
So yes, listen, if you're going to try and write good stuff, you must learn from the greats. Yeah. Randy Newman is a giant of songwriting.
Oh, beautiful, isn't it? Beautiful.
Irony and his intellectual understanding of what he's writing about is huge. And Tessie O'Shea, it's sort of it's fun. Gracie Fields, it's fun.
Yes. Yeah.
And they had that was their personalities were interesting rather than now their material.
They were sort of comical personalities of their time. What about Fats Waller? What did you love about him?
He was music to his fingertips. And there was a joy. He's a joy spreader. And I think what Fascinating Aida does is when people go out, the one thing that people have said for years and years and years is you should be on prescription. Or you should be free on the NHS. That is the one thing. And people come out and say, I feel better. A woman came out to me and said, I heard my father had died in the interval. I went, oh my God. And she went, but I knew he'd have wanted me to stay.
Oh, wow.
And what was going to, I would have gone to, a dead man's bedside.
Yeah.
He had been in a coma for a long time. What was good of that? And you just got me through, And then another woman came up and said, thank you very much indeed for the show. It was terrific. And I said, oh, lovely, thank you. She said, no, I mean, thank you. My daughter had a massive breakdown over a year ago, and it's the first time I've seen her laugh.
That's poignant, isn't it? It's very special to hear that.
That's been repeated again and again and again. And so that's what I feel, that's what it does for me, is when he, there's there's joy in the work. And I try to emulate that.
Entertaining on stage, not only with song and with comedy. The laughter that you instill into the audience is just, you do connect with them, and they do feel part of your work, I guess, because they're listening to these wonderful stories. You're a poignant storyteller, and losing your best friend to a drowning must have been so hard for you to to get through. But in this business, we're great at paying tribute to people, aren't we? Who we lose. And you done yours in a way of writing a song for her.
Yes, thank you. Yes, yeah.
And it was beautiful. It's a very, very powerful moment in your show. But it took you a year to write the song. Did you find it hard to put pen to paper, or was you just not ready to do it, or was you just too busy?
Don't know.
There's no reason.
You don't write until the moment is right, really.
Right. Okay.
The trouble with writing is it's so much of it is unexplainable.
Of course, yeah.
You know that when you're trying to write your material.
Yeah, you have to be ready. It has to be the right moment.
Yeah.
The cabaret show that you put together, because there's been 7 members over the years of Fascinating Ada, which you founded in 1983. What did you look for in a member, apart from the talent, during the auditioning process, before you say yes?
I have no idea.
Oh, you don't know?
No.
You just know?
You just know it's right when it's there, yeah. I mean, there has to be a vocal blend. That's a very practical thing.
Yeah, that's the fit with the show.
Yeah, because the voices have to sound nice.
Yes.
So that is number one. There has to be a lightness of spirit, I think. An ability to take yourself, not to take yourself too seriously, but to take the work terribly seriously.
Yes.
So, yeah, it's a number of factors, I think.
There's a lot that goes into it, isn't it? Sort of the writing, the rehearsing, the going on tour, and then doing it again,
yes.
rewriting
it. And you
it.
have to like the road. We love the road.
You do love the road?
Yeah, I love the road. I love being on tour.
That's nice.
Yeah, not in lockdown.
well, this must have been...
I love the rubber on tarmac, the wheels going around.
Yeah, I do. Eyes and Teeth. Your show, which very early on saw you nominated for a Perrier Award at Edinburgh, and many awards in London, the Outstanding Review, Outstanding Lyrics, 3 times for the Olivier Award for Best Entertainment. How do you get to this point of recognition? I mean, it's so many years of touring, and was it Edinburgh Festival where you started to become quite well known within the group?
No, it was a documentary called, I think they called it Sweet FM. It's in parts on YouTube. It was a 40 minutes documentary. Do you remember the series of 40 minutes? I don't know if you're old enough.
Yes.
Anyway, the 40 minutes documentary, they were making a documentary about British Airways hostesses. And right. British Airways, they've got about 3 or 4 days of filming in the can. And British Airways then sort of slightly pulled the plug or changed the terms of the contract. So they said, you can't film the hostesses off duty. And they said, well, that's the story, isn't it? And they went, well, you can't do it. So they're suddenly in a position of not being able to make the documentary they thought, and had to find a subject really quickly. Rang us up and said, what's happening to you? And we said, we're having a dreadful time. We're making BBC are making have offered us a single, but it's a complete disaster. We hate what they're doing to us. But will you do a documentary? I went, yeah. So anyway, there was this documentary, which was really funny and really good. And it basically, the story was 3 plucky lassies refusing to become a pop act.
Right.
It had something like 4 million viewers, which for a documentary was really quite big.
That's good, yeah.
The poor old BBC looked like complete dickheads, and we just looked great. And it was completely skewed in our favour, and we sort of knew what was happening. In the sense that we were perfectly willing to film scenes again if it made us look better and all that.
Right.
Shameless. And the BBC were were babes in a wood compared with us. We were younger and savvier. Anyway, so it went out, and the business suddenly went gangbusters. We had a booking to play Cardiff St David's Hall. I think we were playing the cupboard, the broom cupboard or something, the foyer, or playing, we were definitely not booked into anything particularly grand. And they rang up and they said, look, the phone's gone off the hook since this documentary.
Right.
the big hall is empty that night. Do you want to take a punt and put yourselves in the big hall? We went, whoa, yes, all right.
Wow.
How many does it hold? 2,000. What? Well, no, but if in the configuration, that's with the choir stalls. Oh, well, we don't want to sell choir stalls. No, indeed. So 1,500 is what we would, for a head-on show, that needs a brass out.
Nice.
Okay, 1,500. We sold 1,534 tickets.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's brilliant. And so it really took off.
Getting phone calls, it's gone up. 574. 682.
Amazing.
901.
That's a wonderful moment.
It was amazing. It was so exciting. That was very, very, very exciting. Suddenly there was a presence, and we were in demand, and that's how it happens. And then we got West End runs and things like that. It was good fun.
Yeah.
And now we don't play the West End anymore. We play the South Bank.
Okay, I love the South Bank. Yeah, they have
it's good, isn't it?
a nice niche there, don't they, for comedy and great shows, cabaret, and yeah, I love that place. I did do one show there actually in the Underbelly, I believe it was.
Oh, did you?
Yes, yeah, but a comedy weekend. Yeah, so I did watch your Hello Dillie last night, and it's just such a wonderful DVD. You use top class musicians. How did you come across the composer Michael Ralston, who performs a brilliant duet?
Is well known in the and hugely in demand in our business. He's the one of the absolutely top cabaret pianists around.
Yes.
And so I didn't like to ask him to start with, because I thought, he was Sarah Louise Young's sort of buddy.
Okay.
And that they were working together, and apparently he was rather disappointed, but I didn't ask him. I started out with a guy called Sam Cable, who was absolutely adorable, but then went off to got other jobs, and so then I having heard that Michael would have liked to be asked, I went, Michael, would you do it with me? He went, yeah, and we went to New York together, and did a run there, and I got nominated for Best Entertainment for the Drama Desk Awards, which was nice.
Fantastic. Oh, wow. Yeah, the duet you performed together is wonderfully funny, isn't it? Both of your performance in that song is just... And like you say about using the right vocals for Fascinating Ada, you and him complement each other brilliantly on that song. It's
thank you.
Beautiful piece. He also joined you to perform for Her Majesty the Queen and Prince Philip at their wedding anniversary dinner.
Yes.
But yet you've never performed on the Royal Variety Show, unless you correct me. Have you?
I certainly haven't, no.
You haven't? Is that because you say you're too rude?
We're too Fascinating Ada, too rude, yeah. We're
right.
Too rude.
And what about yourself as a solo? Would you consider it?
I don't. I mean, I'm so old now. I don't think it's going to happen to you.
Well, I do.
Do you know something? I think it wouldn't be worth the nerves.
Right. Okay.
It's so high octane, and you've only got a minute or 3 minutes or something to prove yourself. And if you choose the wrong song, And the thing is, I think that my material and Fascinating Aida's material works best as a sort of cumulative effect. If you just take one song by itself, you don't get the full range of what it is,
Yes, they link together, you mean?
The shows are about what it is to be a human being, which is to be silly, which is to grieve, which is to regret, to be satirical, to be, to be ridiculous. I think that's what I try to get across in the shows, is through song. But every song is different, so just doing one song for a show is very hard work, and I always hate it. Yeah,
for instance, if you were to have two songs, I think because these go together so well, when you do Single Again and then Back With You, it seems like you're linking them. Is that intentional, because they complement each other? And it's Single Again, and then you go straight into Back With You, which is just brings the house down, because it is a beautiful link between them. So if you get the Royal Variety, then I guess those two would be the ones to do. I see what you mean, though.
You're allowed to, because they're too long.
Yes, I do see what you mean, though. You do
wouldn't
need
be
to.
Allowed to do Single Again because it's too poignant.
Sure.
I mean, the number of times, I have absolutely no faith in the judgment of television executives because, we were asked to do an old song called Saturday Night, which has a beautiful tune. And it's about being on your own on Saturday night when everybody's out enjoying themselves. Not a particularly original theme, I have to confess, but it's nicely done.
Yes.
And one of the verses goes, well, it's another Saturday night, and I'm feeling kind of single. Everyone else is out. I've been invited to a party, but I find it hard to mingle. It's a dear little song, and I'm sitting in my lounge, and I must say, it looks nice. Mind you, it damn well should do. I've cleaned the bastard twice. and that's really funny, but it kind of breaks the poignancy of the song and it stops it being self-pitying.
Yeah.
Well, television executives would never let me sing damn thing twice and bastard.
So you have to change the
so
lyrics.
I said, I'm not changing it.
No. Well, that's true to yourself. You should stick to your guns and accept you for what you've written. You can't.
Yeah, but the television is very judgmental. They were that was in the early days. You get away with it now, of course, but in the early days, 37 years ago, it was incredibly judgmental, and they wanted you to fit into a certain pattern. I remember having a conversation with Jim Moyer about the possibility of doing a TV series, and he said, the problem with you, Dillie, is most people, when they come into this office, I have to shave their heads so they can get out the door again because they've got such big heads. You're too modest. You keep saying, I can't do that. No, that doesn't suit me. And I go, it's not modesty, Jim. It's arrogance. But it's also certainty that I know what I do and I do well and I know what I don't do well.
Yeah.
And I won't, if you make me, use the same building blocks as everybody else, I will look very uncomfortable. And I'm really, really bad at fitting into other people's templates.
Yeah, it won't show off your individuality, will it? And because that is Dillie Keane. You can't change Dillie Keane just to be on TV. That's not right to ask that.
And then, of course, the other thing was that we had a transsexual, she was transgender now. We had a trans person in the group, and that was, we can't put that on television. So, all in all, quite frankly, I think it's been to our advantage.
Yes.
I didn't think so 35 years ago. I was kind of thinking everybody else is getting television, we're not.
Sure.
But now, with the benefit of hindsight and old age,
it's acceptance.
I think it's been a fantastic thing because our material, a song, sometimes will take a month to write.
Yeah.
And then you've written the song, and I've put a couple of songs up on YouTube lately. The one's called Song for Dominic Cummings, and there's another called Song for Gavin Williamson. And the song for Dominic Cummings took a month to write.
Wow.
Simple little tune, simple little thing, but I was worrying it into the ground until it finally went, go on, record it, push up there. Until I was satisfied enough. The care that goes into them is I'm glad to say, it's not visible because it would be totally dull if you thought, she must have taken years to write that. They should look as though they've been tossed off in an afternoon.
Yes. I mean, it makes a difference, doesn't it?
You have to make people laugh.
Yes, I can write a routine or a joke, and it could take me like 5 years to sort of come up with this great routine. And for instance, yesterday we saw the Boris Johnson news on the ITV, and I wrote a skit. I've got a Boris Johnson puppet for this reason, and I wrote a little skit of him. He's making fun of the Stitch in 9 saves time, all this thing. Yes. And you have to be in at 10 and don't go to work, stay home. And I posted it yesterday, and bearing in mind, I'd seen Boris 10 minutes before I posted this, and today it's got 40,000 hits on it. And it's incredible how you can just ad-lib like something like that.
Yes,
and
sometimes it's very quick. We have a series of things that we do impersonating Aida. You must send me the link to that because I want to hear it.
Okay.
That's brilliant news. Did you say a snitch in time?
No, a stitch in time. Mine wasn't a song.
You could use a snitch in time.
Oh, yes, that'll work. I mean, you could
follow up.
Yes, you could turn it into a song. I mean, I'm watching all of his talks on TV now, and 10 minutes after he does it, I'm going to keep posting them because the people are just laughing, that they need to laugh. It's only a minute long and it's not a song. It's just a puppet talking.
Listen, it's absolutely brilliant.
But it's topical, isn't it?
Do you do a good Boris?
Well, I'm not an impressionist, but I've got the puppet and I do a cartoony type voice for him. And it's satirical, I guess, which is people do want to laugh. They don't want to laugh at what we're going through, but they do need to laugh. And I think it helps.
They're desperate to laugh,
to take people's mind away from it. So I'll send you a link after.
That's very satisfying when you get that.
Oh, it's nice, isn't it? So the reason I'm saying that is because you, I don't think you're not really bothered about television, but you're going away through YouTube. And I mentioned at the beginning in your intro about the millions of YouTube hits that you've got through your songs and stuff. And it's quite gratifying to get those hits going up and share. And I saw last Christmas, I got one of your clips through Fascinating Ada. I think it was about Santa Claus. I can't say it. But my brother sent it to me and a few friends sent it. It spread all over. It went viral. And so this is a nice way of getting your songs out there, isn't it? With
absolutely,
with technology. And
absolutely. And because I'm even though I'm very, very old, I've always been quite savvy about technology. I'm having fun with iMovie now.
Okay.
Yeah, and we had a website before anybody else. I kept saying, we've got to get a website. What's it for? I said, it's a shop window in the sky.
Wow.
Website. Push the website.
Yes.
And it was just like, what? From the others, But, now, could you imagine anybody not having a website?
No. I've had one for many years now. And it helps. I get most of my work through my website. Your talent stretches to writing for other people as well, such as Sandy.
Not really.
Well, Sandy Togfig's musical, The Big Night Out. Did you write songs for her?
Yeah, I wrote songs for that, but it was yes, I loved doing that. But I'm not good at writing for songs for other people, really.
Are you more comfortable writing for yourself and for your group?
Yes, for us.
Yes.
Yeah.
You also worked for one of my favourite people, Phil Cool. Was that on his TV show? Didn't you?
I was just in it, yes. He was the most darling man, but he was having a horrible time on that.
Oh.
It was the first time he'd ever worked with a cast and with sketches and things like that, and it was a huge mistake. I was dreadful in it. I was uncomfortable because I could see Phil was uncomfortable, and I'm not, as I say, I'm really not good at showing that I'm not, I kept saying, I don't think I'm needed in this sketch.
You just knew. You just knew that.
I just knew. I knew it was a disaster. Yeah. The director was an old-fashioned misogynist, and I remember making a comment about something that was saying, "Can I make a suggestion?" And there was this, because I didn't pipe up very much, but I just said, I think it's better if Phil does this one on his own, and I'm not in the scene. But if you did this such and such, and I made it kind of quite a complicated suggestion that I knew would improve things. And anyway, the director, it was a long pause, and he said, "Well, it's Friday afternoon, nearly 5 o'clock. My wife is cooking pheasant for me in Chichester. I think we'll call it a day." It was the rudest thing ever.
That's horrible.
On Monday morning, we came in, and he said, "Now, I've made a decision about this scene." And they'd said absolutely everything I'd said with absolutely no reference to me at all.
Really?
I mean, that was the kind of...
It just carried on.
The atmosphere. And Phil, who is a gentle soul and a dear man,
yes,
was destroyed by that series.
That's terrible.
He scarcely worked again.
Yeah, he was such. I met him once at a stage door, and like yourself, sort of being at stage doors and being fascinated with the business. I met comedians, and when I was a teenager, and Phil Cool was one of those. He was touring with Jasper Carrot, and he was just the most loveliest. He gave me his time, and he was so lovely.
A fabulous guy, fabulous.
Yeah, that's very sad to hear that.
Dear. Oh. Yeah, it destroyed his confidence completely.
Yes, I can imagine. I mean, I'm very sensitive as well, and that would have happened to me as well. I'd have gone the other way, and not wanting to work in that situation. The atmosphere, no.
He was just he was bewildered, and he was terribly sweet as well. He kept coming up and said, "I think I've got," and he'd named some politician. He said, yeah, you notice the mouth is on the side. And I would just sit there and piss myself. He was such a nice chap. And he would try out his new impressions and things like that.
Yes.
But he should have been left to himself.
Yeah, to do his thing. Well, he knew I was a ventriloquist, and he said, "Do you know Terry Rogers?" And I knew Terry Rogers. I'd done a little TV thing with her, and she had a dummy called Shorty Harris. She'd done a lot of stag nights, Terry, and he'd done an impression of this ventriloquist dummy that she used to use. It was just entertaining me backstage for 5 minutes. It was genius.
Oh, sweet.
But yeah,
he loved to entertain. He was just a really nice, natural northern bloke.
Yeah,
one of the most charming.
We definitely missed him when he stopped doing television.
Yeah, I don't know what he does now.
No, I'm not sure. I'm going to look into that though, because it'll be lovely to speak to him. But
the other person I thought I met was Jimmy Cricket.
Oh yes. Yeah, Jimmy.
The sweetest man. We happened to be sharing a hotel.
Okay.
And I didn't really know I wasn't quite sure who he was. I thought, is it Jimmy Cricket? And he wasn't sure who I was. And we got talking, and by the end of half an hour, we were the best of friends. We were hugging. It was just dear.
I can imagine.
Yeah,
he's a comedy legend, Jimmy. Brilliant. Such a great storyteller as well. Yeah, just truly incredible.
Oh, conversational.
Your acting, Dillie, is taking you to stage doors and green rooms all over the country. Vagina monologues, The Important of Being Earnest, Little Women, Grumpy Old Women. Is that more improv? That's loosely scripted?
Grumpy, no, Grumpy is very tightly scripted.
Oh, it is scripted.
Very tightly scripted, yeah.
Okay. I never got to see that show.
Absolutely brilliant. It's Jenny,
Claire,
Linda, Judith Holder, who are...
Okay.
You write it. It's written within a hair's breadth.
Yeah.
Well, occasionally, you get to sort of say something off. If something happens.
She didn't mind that.
We
No.
just did the show.
Yes.
It was, when a show is good, why improvise?
Of course. And Linda Robson was in that with you as well.
Yeah, she was.
Was it nice to have a good old moan about everyday life, or obviously you can?
It was wonderful. It was wonderful fun, and I went to Australia with it, which was glorious.
Fantastic.
And, yeah, it was fantastic.
The subject of the Grumpy show, was it not too dissimilar from some of the material in your songs? Was it, about men?
Very different, very much more domestic.
Completely. Oh, okay. Is that on DVD at all, that show, or I'd love to see it?
There are bits of it
On YouTube, or?
On YouTube. I mean, I still think of lines. I did the recent one, Grumpy, what's it, Superwoman to the Rescue or something.
Okay.
Every time I open the dishwasher, I think of one of the lines was, shout, if you're the only one in the house who knows how to stack the dishwasher properly.
That's nice.
As I rearrange things in the dishwasher, going, touching.
Oh, that's brilliant. I'm sure my wife would enjoy watching that as well. We'll have to look for those clips. You stood, this is changing the subject, but you stood for a candidate in local elections. And I think those Parliament afternoons need a few good sing-alongs to spruce them up. But is this something that you've not followed through since, or are you interested in politics?
I stood twice, and I should have stood the third time, but the silly old bloke didn't get my papers.
Really?
Yeah, no, I have no chance of getting in. I just stand to collect the votes. Because if you don't collect the votes, what happens is your average goes down. So, for instance, there was a case in Manchester, which is the one they always cite, on the 9 boroughs, and there were 6 boroughs where the Lib Dems stood and 3 where they didn't. Well, in the 6 where they stood, they got 25% of the vote.
Okay.
And in the 3 where they didn't stand, they got no percent of the vote. So their overall vote for Manchester was suddenly reduced to 12%. Now that affects everything. It affects how much the BBC will interview you. It affects, it affects what is perceived to be your national average, and therefore, do you have a hope in hell of being elected? Does that party have a hope in hell? So I get about 8% of the vote. I have no chance of being elected, and to be honest with you, if I had to deal with dog poo behind the swimming pool and holes in the road and big drains, I would not be. I would not be very good at it.
No, I mean at
But
a time.
I'm standing to collect the votes to remind people that we have a party that is left to centre, etc. And I'm sort of Lib Dem to my boots, but I voted Labour at the last election because they didn't stand a chance in my borough. If they stood a chance, I would have voted for them.
Right.
But here, you stick a blue flag on a monkey and it'll get in.
It has. I mean, it's crazy what we're going through, and to be in an MP in a virus like what we're going through must be incredibly awful to be experiencing. Very tough time in that house, but yeah,
I don't care.
Good answer. No, we don't. Apart from solo and fascinating Ada DVDs, you also published a songbook, The Joy of Sequins, and Fascinating Who. Is that a biography of the group, or?
Fascinating Who is a silly book. I wouldn't bother your arse looking for it. The songbook's quite sweet, very sweet.
Okay.
And nicely done.
Oh, that's nice. But people can search for your CDs and your DVDs online.
They can,
is that right?
There's lots of them. 8 or 9 or something like that.
Brilliant. I'll guide everybody to your website and your YouTube.
Well, that's very kind of you.
YouTube channel as well, and you have the blog as well. You keep people up to date.
My blog.
Yes.
I haven't spoken about my blog. My blog is dear to my heart. Or shit you don't need. And it's an eco blog, and I do the research, so you don't have to. Basically, it's pointing out, the stuff that we assume is, just we buy without thinking, whether it's antibacterial laundry cleanser or tea bags or toilet paper.
Yes.
These are all real, or salmon, or almonds. These are all doing so much damage.
Really?
To the planet.
Yeah.
Toilet paper. They've started cutting down the Great Northern Forest to make a cushelle or one of those.
Really?
Because it's the oldest virgin hardwood trees that make the softest toilet paper.
That's very sad to hear that. The forests are suffering.
You're wiping your bum with the home of the grey wolf.
Oh, that is very sad. So your blog is based upon eco and
it's trying to make an entertaining case for changing your habits.
Sure. Okay.
We now use bamboo toilet paper here.
Oh, that hurts.
No, it doesn't.
No,
it's
no.
magic the way they do it.
Yeah, no, it is. I mean, it's not a
scrape it out with a bamboo stick.
No, okay. It's not a bamboo stick. It's actually made into toilet paper. Yeah, so it's important where all this comes from, isn't it? Like recycled toilet paper. You could buy that thinking you're doing the world a good, but then you do need to know what tree it comes from or what piece of material it comes from, because it makes a difference.
And the other thing is it's wrapped in plastic, whereas bamboo toilet paper comes in a box.
Okay.
So there's no plastic at all.
Yes. Yeah, it's important.
I don't like that. I mean, actually, we should all be using bidets, really. But, people will can only change little by little, I think.
Yes.
Anyway, so, the latest one is tea bags, which has been a big success. And lots of people have written to say, I've returned to tea leaves, and I'm so glad.
Okay, that's nice. I'm going to do that on my next shop, I promise you, because I think you still get tea bags.
And don't believe it if it says plastic free, because although it means plastic free, it's free of petroleum based plastics. There's no such thing as a plastic free tea bag, because it's bioplastics, and bioplastics are biodegradable but not compostable. I know so much more than I used to. I do. I mean, I don't piggyback on other journalistic stuff. I do proper research. I look up the papers, and it takes me ages because I'm not a scientist. But it is quite. It is very dear to my heart. I've been a sort of eco bore for years. I thought I must do something about it.
Are you very pro Sir David Attenborough, which everybody loves? This man, and are people listening to David Attenborough? I think he's extraordinary. I'm very pro Prince Charles. I'm very pro Greta Thunberg. Yes. They're trying to save the planet. I mean, that's what we need people to give the voice, and that they do have a voice, which is incredible to get that across.
I've joined various Extinction Rebellion groups.
Right.
I don't know that. I think it's a bit sort of. I thought that. blockading the telegraph was kind of that's counterproductive because Colonel Houghton Buffton is just going to say, "Oh bloody well, those bloody people," rather than say, "Actually,
you should listen." Yeah,
that was counterproductive. I thought, and also the papers were printed, so it was wasteful.
No, that's true. So there needs to be a better way of getting the message across, which Greta has done, and we'll probably see in her portrayal in Spit in the Image over the next few weeks. When that's oh dear, God knows what they're going to say in this awful time of ice age of show business, where we've all stopped doing what we love. Have you had time to be creative for your upcoming tour, which starts in February to June next year?
It's not going to start in February, is it?
I don't believe it is. I mean, I've got a tour which has been moved this year to April next year, and I'm still slightly worried. But yeah, I mean, are there new songs? Optimistically, if your tour does go ahead, even if it gets moved to later in the year, you've got new songs. You said you were writing a few new songs.
We have got. We did quite a new show at the South Bank, which we then toured, and we lost 13 days of our tour. But it was great. We were in profit. We were able to pay everybody, so nobody suffered.
Right.
And so some of those songs will come with us, and we're planning to get together in November to go down and write in Cornwall.
Nice place to be.
We'll take it from there, really.
Okay, brilliant. And you're obviously doing your fans' favourites, because you've got classics that we love to hear again and again. So it's going to be a brand new show with classics and new songs. A brand new show with brand old classics.
Dillie,
it's been a delight to talk to you. Please pass Adele and Liza Liza. I knew I was going to say that wrong.
Don't worry. But it is a different name.
Yes, please pass Liza. I should know that, Liza Minnelli. Pass them my love, and I wish you all the best. And thank you for doing what you've done.
It's been a delight to chat to you.
It's been lovely to talk to you.
I can't wait now to go and look up your latest. On the two of you.
Thank you. I'll send you a couple of clips, but thank you so much for your time. I'm a big fan. I'm going to be hooked on your work. But you take care of yourself. I love your husband as well.
I'll do my best.
Okay.
Yes. All right. Cheerio.
Thank you. Bye.
Eyes and teeth.
Don't dilly-dally on the way. I should have mentioned that. That could have been a good name for a tour. Many thanks to Dillie for taking time out. I urge you, and I've never urged anyone in my life. I've never actually said urge before, so I must mean it. But Google Dillie Keane, and for some reason you've never seen Fascinating Ada, Google them as well, and you won't be able to help yourself delving deeper into her world. To delve more, then go to www.dilliekeane.com, go to Twitter @DillieKeane or @FascinatingAida, Facebook Dillie Keane Official and Fascinating Aida, or the big one is the YouTube channel Dillie Keane, and check out that documentary which is called Sweet FA. Great fun. Today's comedy quote comes from, I'm going to read you a chapter from the Gilbert O'Sullivan song They Don't Blame You As Long As You're Funny. This is for you, Dillie. Oh, a private buffoon is a light-hearted loon. If you listen to popular rumour, from the morn to the night he's so joyous and bright, and he bubbles with wit and good humour. He's so quaint and so terse, both in prose and in verse, yet through people forgiven his transgression. There are one or two rules that all family fools must observe if they love their profession. There are one or two rules, half a dozen maybe, that all family fools, of whatever degree, must observe if they love their profession. Eyes and Teeth is written, produced and hosted by Steve Hewlett, vocals by Rich T, Nina, Lola and Larissa Hewlett, and theme music and jingles created and performed by Kevin Dean. He also gives guitar lessons, Please download, review and share if you have enjoyed these podcasts. Tune in next time to Eyes and Tinsel, where I will reveal my special guest number 4 in 12 days of podcasts.
Eyes and teeth. Ho, 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 ho. Merry Christmas.